It also looks different just because I have like little, focus on me,
Little
baby.
movie magic.
Oh, wrong.
Welcome back to the Cool
Look at me.
Comics Show. I am one of your hosts, Damian, and with me, as always, is Qman Bean, aka Qman, aka Q, the man behind the movie magic. Not with us today is Generic, aka aka Cutie with an E.
Mm.
Also not
Beauty
with
with
us.
a boot E.
True. Also not with us is Jelani Hendrix, aka Jelani Carter, aka Jelani with a
Rip.
body. The fortunate, the positive thing of us having four people on this channel now is we can mix and match when people are available for each of these monthly shows. With that being said, this is our June episode of the main Cool Comic Show, where we talk about everything from movies, TV shows, comic books, and video games related to comic book characters. This month is a little bit of a lighter of a month as we go into Comic-Con for July. We'll talk about this more when we record the July episode next month, but we do have our Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con stream planned for the end of July. DC and Marvel haven't necessarily announced their panels yet, but I assume one or the other is going to have some kind of panel. Like I mentioned, a little bit lighter of a month, but there was some big news. So kicking it
Huge.
off with movies and TV news related to us and our channel. So a couple of you have asked in the comments recently, last couple of months. We mentioned it at the beginning of the year, but our Harley Quinn reaction series will officially be returning. We have some trips and stuff coming up in the middle of June, so we're gonna get that done out of the way, and then we'll come back and react to Harley Quinn season 5. I think it is. The other piece of news that came out since our last recording, we got the official Superman trailer, quote unquote official. There's been like teases and stuff like that. Q, I don't know if you watched it. I know you said you're usually avoid trailers and not to put spoilers. I'm not going to talk about spoilers, but
Mm.
my overall impressions of the trailer was it looked fun, looked like a good time, and I, the thing that I like the most about the trailer is not necessarily the trailer itself, is I saw a lot of positive reaction to the trailer. Like
Yeah.
everyone that I saw was like, this looks super cool, super fun. Where a couple years ago, people would have just been hating on a Superman movie in general. And this felt like a very good, like, this is Superman trailer. So,
Yeah. I saw the eyes up here.
yeah. Yeah.
Eyes up here. I saw there were they're bringing out all the characters
Yeah.
low key. It's a very interesting like pool of characters that
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how they'll tie each of them together. Mr. Terrific being one, and I think I saw somebody has some blade arms. Uh,
Like the engineer.
I was like, is this Mortal Kombat? What's going on? But yeah, I was trying to avert my gaze when I watched Thunderbolts, which
Oh,
again,
yeah.
absolute
Thunderbolts.
cinema.
AKA, and it's been like almost a month now, AKA the new
Oh
Avengers.
no. my camera's grown.
The camera
It's grown
is
sentient.
chasing you.
I can't do absolute cinema. It's gonna get a personality.
Wait, so when you watched it, did they played the new Superman trailer? Yeah, because I guess it would have came out by the time you watched it,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think, and this isn't really a spoiler if people are trying to avoid full spoilers, like the trailer opens with a conversation between Clark and Lois, which again is not a spoiler because they're both in the movie. They're going to have conversations.
Right.
So I thought that was a good way to kind of showcase their dynamic and what their dynamic is going to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I thought it was cool. And I'm glad that everyone seems excited for a Superman movie because that's a good thing. Even if Superman
Yeah.
isn't your favorite character, if people are excited and Superman does well, that means a lot of good things for all the other characters in the DC universe.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like I loved Henry Cavill's iteration
mhm.
of the character, but seeing his character like frazzled, I don't know if that was something that got showcased a ton. And you kind of catch that in that scene that between the two of them, that there's just like that wrestling of being what he is and trying to be who he is to in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Um,
It also doesn't help when
I'm-
they have the death of Superman in the second movie of the universe. So it's hard to kind of feel your connection to those characters. But I also
Right.
did like Henry Cavill. I feel like they didn't give him enough, and I think that was
Right.
the overall issue of that universe as a whole.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
It's a
Like,
DCEU.
Yeah.
Could have probably used a little more.
a little bit. Again, you don't do Death of Superman in your second movie, but who am I? I'm not a movie maker. I don't know. But yeah, we are less than 2 months now from the release of Superman, so that'll be and Fantastic Four, which will be coming.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a lot of news about Fantastic Four, but that's also in July as well. Actually, Fantastic Four is coming out the weekend of San Diego Comic-Con. So our plan is obviously to go watch it opening night if we can. So by the time our Comic-Con stream happens, we can talk freely about Fantastic Four.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
But speaking of Marvel did have some news. And it's honestly news that I feel like all of us at one point kind of predicted was going to happen. So Avengers Doomsday just started filming a couple weeks ago. Originally, it was supposed to come out a year from now. So they were going to have less than a year to film, edit, pickups, everything, VFX. But Avengers Doomsday has been delayed. It says 6 months, actually 7 months, from May 2026 to December 2026. Got pushed back 7 months. And Avengers Secret Wars has also been delayed about that same time. It was supposed to come out in May 2027. Now it's being delayed to December 2027, which is interesting because, well, one, it's delayed, kind of makes sense. But two, Avengers have always released in the summer. Like, Avengers have always been summer blockbusters. These will now both be Christmas movies. And I think I saw someone, I don't know if it's Doomsday or Secret Wars. It might be Doomsday. Yeah, it is Doomsday. Because Dune Part 3 is coming out that same day that a Doomsday pick. So people are assuming that Doomsday might get pushed again because Dune is a big fucking movie. So
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
but yeah.
This is what's the last? Was No Way Home the last Christmas?
Yeah, I think No Way Home was like November, December, something like that. Let me double check. It was definitely end of the year.
That was the last like major MCU.
Yeah, December
blockbuster.
2021.
And that's very interesting. I don't.
It's just funny
know.
they picked the same day as Dune. I'm like, I don't think, because Dune is Warner Brothers, right? And that's already the DC versus Marvel thing.
Right.
I don't think Warner Brothers is gonna move Dune because Dune 1 and 2 did very well. Yeah, and they have no reason to move it. I don't think they'd be worried about Doomsday. So.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if this is the last time that we hear about dates moving around, just given how close those projects are in release dates.
Yeah.
As they are,
There
they're
was also
currently working on both, right?
Yeah, they're doing both.
That's their plan.
I think that's the report. The other interesting thing too, I didn't put it on here, but the other part that came out of this news was there was 3 dates that Marvel had that were just like they had those dates, but there was no movie attached to it, and they cleared those dates. So whatever 3 potential movies they were going to put there are no longer there. Yeah. So I think specifically Avengers Doomsday, I think Secret Wars will get figured out. But Avengers Doomsday already has so much kind of just shit, of like the Robert Downey Jr. casting, the amount of people they're having there, bringing back the old X-Men actors that they should have retired a long time ago. Like, there's already so much that I feel like I don't want to say negative, but like so much weird stuff going into it, And now with this delay, it's like, so I'd be very curious. I don't think Marvel has ever really skipped a Comic-Con, maybe 1 or 2. DC has, but I'm very hopeful that Marvel does this Comic-Con just to see what their update is, because of like now Avengers, Blade. Obviously, we talked about a lot. Like next Spider-Man movie. Like, what's their plan? So, but in some positive Marvel news, we did get a couple of trailers for a couple different shows. But first off, I wanted to mention we got a trailer for Ironheart, which will be coming out in June 24th. They are doing 3 episodes a week, and it's only 6 episodes, so 2 weeks. I checked out the trailer. Q, I think you watched it as well. It looks hella cool. It looks sick. It sucks that Marvel's only giving it like a weird release schedule and not really promoting it, but the trailer looks really cool. I don't know if you had any thoughts on it.
I only saw like a glimpse of it. I didn't watch the full trailer. But I am excited. I am a fan of Riri Williams just as a character. and I think that Dominique did a fantastic job with her. So I'm hopeful that it's gonna do fine, and I'm also hoping that the release strategy works for it more than, some of the other strategies they've taken with Disney properties.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a fan of Andor, but they released like the full 8 episodes in a
Really?
month.
I thought there was weekly.
Yeah, well, it was weekly, but it was like 2, 3 at a time.
Oh yeah.
So when they probably could have stretched it out. I think this isn't necessarily a case like this. I think it lends probably a bit more to having access to the full, the full season, or at least half of the season during the first week. Like I feel like 6 episodes is a good call. So hopefully it makes sense.
I think this show's going to be like very much slept on. Like I think it's going to be good, and I think people aren't going to give it a chance just because, I mean, we know how the comic book community is. So I think people are just going to pass this over, but it's going to end up being really good. So this is like one of the first Disney Plus Marvel shows that I'm actually looking forward to watching like in a while. I haven't really watched the recent ones, but I saw this trailer. I was like, I want to watch this one. And I liked her in Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. So, but a couple other trailers we got Peacemaker, which comes out in August, and we got Spider-Man Noir that comes out at some point next year. To kind of touch point on both of these, Peacemaker, I've talked about it before because it came out, I think when E and I had kind of first started the channel. I watched the first couple episodes of Peacemaker, and then pretty early on I was like, I get it, I see what this show is, but I don't know if this character is for me. It's just kind of another generic dude killer. I'm like, I think I'm good.
And the John Cena of it all.
Yeah, I mean, John Cena's cool, don't get me wrong, but I think like just Peacemaker as a character, I think at that time I was just kind of in this feeling of like, there's so many other characters that could have gotten a show that deserve a show. So I gave it a fair shot. I tried to give it a couple episodes. I always thought I'd go back and kind of finish rewatching it. I think now that they're integrating Peacemaker into the new DC universe, I might just to kind of see what's going on, but I'm not like super excited. And then kind of the same thing with Spider-Man Noir. Spider-Man Noir is cool, and Spider-Verse, the character's pretty cool. It's Nick Cage. It's on Amazon, I think. But I was like, we'll see. I'm not like super jumping up to go check it out.
Yeah. I think both of these properties or these projects specifically have the same problem for me. And when you have such a punchy name attached to, fictional character, it sometimes takes me out of the story almost. And I think Nicolas Cage does well at immersing himself in anything that he works on, but I do, I'm hesitant that they'll both, at least for me, fall into the same issue of like, is this like just an opportunity for this top build to flex their muscles with a average A plot, like maybe I'll feel different after I give Peacemaker a fair chance. I watched the pilot and that was sufficient for me. But like I said, I might kind of be in the same boat as you. It being woven into a bigger story might incentivize actually giving it a fair shot.
Yeah, and that's not to say if any of you out there, if you like Peacemaker, if you loved the first season, like a lot of people did, more power to you. Like us, we've talked about this before. Us not liking something doesn't mean it's bad. I'm not saying Peacemaker is bad. It seems to be a well-made show. It's just, it's not for me. The same way that there's a lot of stuff that I very much enjoy that isn't for a lot of people, and that's totally fine. But I agree with what you're saying 100%. Where it's just like, also don't get me wrong, Spider-Man Noir, from the stuff I saw, it had some pretty cool visual stuff that was going on, but it's not something that I was like, oh, let me go watch this right away. But who knows? It might end up being the best thing in the world. We'll see. Speaking of Disney Plus shows, a recent one that just ended, and Jelani talked about how much he enjoyed it last month. Daredevil Born Again is in the middle of getting season 2 ramped up. And before I mention this news, because a big piece of news came out of it, when this news came out, it reminded me where we're kind of in a, this is a whole other deeper discussion. We're kind of in a world now where you can't really be surprised by most things in any kind of media consumption, unless you're like super offline all the time. But even if you're online and you try to avoid spoilers, things are gonna come up. So that being said, pretty big spoiler, I guess, for Daredevil season 2. If you don't want to know, skip ahead a few minutes. I'll put the timestamp. But we got news of a big character coming back from the Netflix Marvel days. Kristen Ritter, aka Jessica Jones, is returning as Jessica Jones for Daredevil season 2. They had an official kind of announcement for it, and then of course there's been pictures and stuff that have come out. I still have yet to watch Daredevil Born Again. Honestly speaking, I do need to sit down and kind of run through it all. I feel like with me, and I don't know if it's just because the feeling I had from watching the Netflix show. I watched the Netflix show. I love the Netflix show, but I feel like I have to kind of be ready to take on all the Daredevilness of it all. So I do plan to watch Daredevil this summer, and then of course leading into Jessica Jones next year, which I kind of want to rewatch Jessica Jones as well, even before this got announced she was coming back. So
yeah, Netflix, Marvel kind of predates my engagement with the IP as like a recurring viewer. Mm-hmm. I watched Daredevil, like the original series, and loved it, but the Defenders IP, respectfully, you like it, I love that for you. But it sometimes can be a lot, especially at that point in time, right? Like it was 20 episode seasons. Yeah.
This was also the time when like every studio or brand was trying to have their own comic book property. Yeah. So this was also in the middle of all that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I might give Jessica Jones a shot. I know that of those stories, that's one that had a pretty like solid first season.
Yeah. It is pretty heavy. Well, most of them are pretty heavy, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to hear what you think about this season
Daredevil?
of Born Again. Yeah.
What did you think of it? Oh yeah, you weren't here last month, and we had recorded since. So what are your thoughts of Daredevil?
I love the character, and I do think that you see the seams of the reshoots and reconfiguring of the story a bit. How you choose to engage with like noticing those things is entirely up to you the viewer, but I think for me, I was able to kind of like sit and accept the story that they were trying to tell or retell because a lot of it is like just very tied to the original story, almost more than you would think for like a new chapter for the character. But it didn't stop me. There was definitely a stretch of the season that felt, pretty episodic, like kind of like this is what's the phrase, the
filler,
not filler, but like just each week he was solving a new problem. There was kind of a stretch in the middle,
Monster of the Week kind of vibe.
There was a stretch, especially during the midway point, where it was like, I don't think this is tied to the A plot at all, but that's fine because it's still Daredevil. But
which is funny because I think originally it was supposed to be like an 18, 19 episode season or something. Like I think originally it was supposed to be super long.
Yeah. And I think maybe they made the right call in abbreviating that plan. But there are some scenes that work so well. And, anytime that Bernthal is on screen, I'm absolutely salivating. Give me all of it and then some.
That is one Netflix Marvel show I haven't watched. Well, I did watch a little bit of Iron Fist. I never ended up watching Punisher, because at the time it came out, I was like, I forgot when exactly it was, but I was just kind of not really watching a lot of comic book stuff at the time and doing other things.
Right.
So I never kind of went back and watched the Punisher show on Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't watch a ton either. You know, I've got the no, wait, carbon copied into my brain like that.
Yeah, but I will say, I think with this and like with the news of her coming back as Jessica Jones, it feels like we're kind of going into almost another resurgence of comic book stuff, where we had the first wave in the mid 2010s where like everyone was trying to be Marvel, everyone was trying to copy that formula, and now everyone is realizing they can make something and not be Marvel and still have it come out really well. So it seems like there's kind of another wave of resurgence we're doing in the mid 2020s. But that's about all the news that we have for movies and TV. Jumping over to the news we have for books, we have a couple of announcements, mostly DC stuff. Just to kind of run through some of these. DC Comics has announced a new series called Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum. This is a 5-issue series from the Ice Cream Man creative team of W. Maxwell Prince, Martin Morazzo, and Chris O'Halloran. So if you haven't read Ice Cream Man, I have the first volume right here. Ice Cream Man Sunday Edition, Volume 1. You can see Prince, Morazzo, and O'Halloran up there. This book, the way I describe it is, it's a bunch of short stories that are horror-based, but there is an overarching kind of, I want to say story, but there's an overarching presence. We'll put it that way. There's an overarching presence throughout all these stories. The stories are very much horror, like I said, horror themed. They're kind of uneasy. They're not like gross like horror, but they're more so like you feel uncomfortable, like kind of more of a thriller kind of thing. It's very good. I definitely recommend this book. When you get to the end of volume 1, you're like, you kind of see how this overarching presence connects everything. You're like, oh fuck. So yeah, this team that made this is doing this new series. It launches in April, and they explore the different variations of kryptonite. And some of the images they release, and I'll put them on screen. It's like a couple different panels of like different colors of kryptonite. The art looks exactly how it does in here. You know, obviously it's the same artist, so it seems kind of like it seems like it's going to also have an uneasy feeling, kind of like a presence. So I'm excited to pick this one up. Only five issues though.
Yeah, the covers look incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were the primary covers or if they were variants of like the first issue, but what I saw on the link that you sent, I was like, man, this is gonna be really cool. And just the art that they have shown, it's exciting.
It will be released on DC's Black Label, which is their mature line. So Superman might say fuck in this thing, who knows? But it seems kind of trippy. Like, I think it'll be a fun...
Can he say that?
I think it'll be a fun kind of adventure that Superman goes through with this creative team. Some not uneasy news, some more fun news. So also with DC has announced they're doing a giveaway. They're giving two fans a chance to attend the Superman movie premiere. So there is going to be a Kryptos Golden Biscuit sticker will be hidden inside the front cover of DC's Adventure Comics number 210. This reprinted edition releases on June 18th, US only. The reason I think this is important, one, because that's kind of cool. You know, you can just, unless there's a limit, I'm going to go and buy 50 at my comic shop. But the reason this is good is because not only with this and like some of the toys and a bunch of stuff, it does seem like DC is going all in, at least Warner Brothers is going all in with like the marketing and like the push of Superman, because I mentioned this at the beginning of this episode. If Superman does well, that means it's a good thing for the rest of the DC universe. Yeah. Like, DC needs Superman to do well for everyone else can get a fair shot. So like the fact that they're doing stuff like this is great, because it's like, oh, they obviously believe in this. They want to promote it, and it's also promoting the comic books along with the movies. Like, this is just a great thing all around. So Q, I expect you to buy 50 copies. I'm going to buy 50 copies. E and Jelani got to buy 100 each, so we can kind of, one of us can win the chance to go to the premiere. I assume it'll be in LA, but if you want a chance to win, go to your local comic shop on June 18th. Not only buy this book, but buy some other books in there that you might be interested in. Look for Kryptos Golden Biscuit, Willy Wonka style.
You think it's edible?
I hope it is. I hope we can I hope whoever wins goes to the premiere and they give them a golden biscuit like prop to walk around on the red carpet. And you have to hold it so people know you were the one that won.
That would be hilarious.
And the last piece of news we kind of got for books, this is kind of a bunch of news put into one. So DC has announced 6 new series of their DC Go comics, which are essentially kid kind of focused comic books. So I'm going to go through each of these ones, and we have a very special kind of insight for one of these series. So the first one is called Aquaman Yo Ho Hold Onto Your Hook. This one is featuring Jackson Hyde, which if you watch the Young Justice series on Cartoon Network, Jackson Hyde has a lot of the same similarities to Calderon, aka Aqualad. But that'll be an Aquaman book coming out. They are also releasing a book called Warriors and a Wee Wonder, which is a slice of life book about the Amazons. From what I saw, Diana's kind of a kid in this. It's kind of more about the older Amazons. There's also a series called John Kent, The Internship. This internship is my kryptonite. It'll be about John Kent interning at the Daily Planet. We're also going to get The Magical Mysteries of Shazam, which is exploring Shazam's origin. And then we're going to, the last two, we have My Little Warlord, which is a kid-friendly version of the Warlord story. And last, but definitely not least, we have a series called Taste of Justice, which is digging into what food that each DC Universe character would bring to the table for different situations. But the reason I say not least, we have a little bit of behind the scenes for that series. Q.
Yeah.
Gonna give a shout out.
Shouts out Domo, the one and only Domo Stanton, illustrator of Taste of Justice, is a acquaintance of the pod. He you meet a lot of people through streaming, and one of the first people that I met, we've all kind of met each other through Twitch, broadcasting, what have you, but one of the first streamers that I met was an illustrator that worked especially with DC Comics and would disappear, occasionally because they had to work on projects. And the last one was Taste of Justice. So it's exciting. His artwork is incredible.
Yeah,
like it's really, really good.
From what I saw from the announcements, because like I said, these are mostly like kid focused books. Yeah. But the art that he has for this one, it actually looks very interesting to me, that I might want to go in, because kid friendly books, obviously I'm not the target audience for that. Right. But this one, I think the premise is cool of everyone's kind of different, dish essentially. And then his art, it looked really cool on the announcements for that. So shout out to Domo Stanton on Twitch. Big shouts out to him. It's good that DC is continuing to have kid friendly focused books, because we have of course the mainline books, which can be any age really. We have the young adult novels, which are kind of people who are in their teens. But having comic books that are specific for kids is great, because you are building your audience for the future. And people always have this idea that comic books are dying, and they're never really going to die. But it's good to have, kid-friendly stuff like this. So
yeah. And also, investing those projects, using seasoned illustrators to depict those stories is cool. It's not like a factory where one kid book is gonna look like any other kid book. There are very varied looks, varied stories, really just showcases how dynamic comics are at large. And I'm glad to see that the same treatment is going is happening with DC Go.
They're not treating it as less because it's a kid book. I mean, comic books are for kids in general, but they're not kind of just throwing it to the side as a whatever thing in a way.
I'm just a kid that pays bills. Truly.
True, real and true. We're also trying to figure out life out here.
I'm still goo gaga out here. I'm ready for my nap and my damn binky.
Honestly, it's raining today. It's a holiday weekend. We're recording this the day before Memorial Day. It's been raining all day. I might take a nap after this recording. Who knows? We'll see. But that's most of the news we got for books. And usually what we do at the end of our book section, we'll talk about what we've been reading recently. Q, I'll let you go first this time. I feel like I'm always taking everyone's thunder.
Uh, unfortunately, I have not been reading a ton, but right after this, I do plan to pick back up on
Ooh,
Absolute Batman.
absolutes.
Yeah. I've sung the praises of the Absolute Universe and probably will for the rest of the calendar year because every story it feels so original. It's intrigued me frame one because there are all these unique spins on familiar stories, and Batman's is, I mean, by far, obviously one of the best adaptations that has like its own unique pivots um in the story. So this is kind of veering into a new arc. They closed out the original, like
The first
the
one.
first,
Yeah.
yeah, the first arc, similar to Wonder Woman, and are now kind of expanding on that story a bit more. So I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna read that. And
What issue is that one?
this is issue 7. This
Bad.
one right here.
That's crazy.
So
It's been
I
like
don't know.
7 months since it came out then.
No,
That's kind of crazy.
it is insane. It's also insane how much I've spent on comics in the past 7 months. It is sickening.
I think I don't know if you remember at the beginning when we first had you join CCS, we were like, get ready to spend a lot more money on comic books. Just because it's like
Man.
people were introducing each other to different books and stories and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. But yeah, Absolute
What have you
Batman's.
been reading?
So I've been reading. I talked about it before we recorded. I've been reading Secret Six. It's over there on the shelf behind me. But for the current stuff, Absolute Wonder Woman, of course, that one's just been top of the line, A1. I
Yeah.
can't say more great things about it. Zatanna just had her 4th issue come out this past week. I'm still sad it's only going to have 6 issues. Reading Zatanna.
Yeah.
Batgirl, of course, is still going on. That one's still great. New Gods is still like I'm watching a crazy sci-fi movie every month. It's insane. Like
Oh,
reading that
man.
book. Absolute Martian Manhunter is another like sci-fi thing. I feel like I'm reading like a movie.
It's over my desk right now.
Yeah. I do want to read Absolute Flash and Absolute Green Lantern just because I want to have, like, knowing how Sojourn is, like, as the regular Green Lantern in the Far Sector thing, and then reading her like
Yeah.
this, like, that'll be, or not Sojourn, Joe, reading her, and then, like, having Wally West be the Absolute Flash, and I've seen
Right.
some people talk about online, like, some recent stuff that came out about that book, or, like, that was in the book, so it seems kind of crazy.
Yeah, I read the first issue of Absolute Flash, and again, big question marks, but I'm super intrigued to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I have Absolute Green Lantern, but I haven't gotten around to it. Shouts out to Cam, my goat at my local comic book shop.
Shout out, Cam.
Holding down my folder because man,
You gotta go pick
the
up.
backlog is backlogging.
If you guys
Crazy.
aren't following Q on Instagram, make sure you follow him. When he does do his pickup, he'll like do a kind of quick review in his car, and he has a whole stack just from his backlog of everything he's gotta pick up.
The halls are getting thick. They are getting thick.
But
Yeah.
since we were just mentioning Absolute Batman has already been out for 6-7 months, DC has already announced like the trades that are coming out for the first 6 issues for each of Absolute Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. I think that's coming out in the summer or later this year. So if you haven't read any of the Absolute stuff yet and any of them kind of catch your eye, pick up the trades. They'll kind of encompass the first 6 issues all in one. So you can just read them through and kind of get your fill, so you don't have to wait month to month like I am. Because every time I read Absolute Wonder Woman, I'm like, Jesus, I need the next 50 issues of this right now. It's so, like, the Wonder Ones are great.
So good.
Don't get me wrong. But Absolute Wonder Woman, it's just the way that I feel like my life changed every time I read it. I feel like my eyes are opened every time I'm done reading it.
It is so good.
Yeah.
And just it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the obvious favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And also the most polar out of the big 3
Mm-hmm.
from as far as like deviating, more or less from their original stories.
Yeah.
It's
But the best part about it is it kept her clay origin, which that's a whole other discussion. Diana is not Zeus's daughter. All right. That's just not, it's not. She doesn't need to be. So
yeah.
it changes everything else about her, but it keeps that. I think it works really well. So I'm excited to.
So good.
I'm hoping that this will continue on. And eventually we get the Omni for it, so I can buy it again and read it for multiple times. So
yeah, I'm so excited to buy the same thing.
that's comic books, man.
Truly. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we've been reading, and that's about it for the book news. And to wrap it all up, for game news, again, we just have Rivals going on right now, but we have some big news. So as of this recording, we got the new season 2.5, 2.5 midway season update trailer for Marvel Rivals, which introduced the character of Ultron, who will be a new healer for Rivals. However, so obviously, with the new stuff, they'll have people showing off the new characters. They'll have a video showing off the abilities. Ultron can't really heal that much.
Bro. I'm about to piss some people off.
That man can barely.
I'm auto-locking support. And do not expect these heals. Sorry.
You're going to have to run triple healer if you have an Ultron on your team. But he does seem fun. Like, he seems like a good time. He's not going to be your main healer.
No.
But with that, we also got new skins. We got the Future Foundation skins for the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. We got some new skins, like half battle pass thing for like Storm. And like new character updates and everything. So it'll be coming out. I think it's May 30th. By the time this video 30th. Goes up, the update will already be out. And
I'll probably be playing.
Q's gonna be back on his
Rivals.
His rival streams, checking those out.
If you see Qman being on in your little matches, I will be auto locking Ultron.
He seems like a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah. He does look like a lot of fun.
And of course, as always, there is no DC video game news unless you count the mobile game that they feel like they've done 3 different times that looks exactly the same. And that's about it for DC games. So, but yeah, that's about all this stuff we have for June. Like I said, a little bit of a lighter month as we go into Comic-Con. We're going to have a lot to talk about once Comic-Con comes around. But next time, you guys can look out for us for the Harley Quinn reaction around the time that the July episode will come out. So make sure you guys look out for that. Thank you guys for watching and supporting. As always, make sure you go buy your Crypto's Golden Biscuit on June 18th. Go buy yourself a bunch of copies, and we might see you at LA on the red carpet with your Golden Biscuit.
Optics. With your Golden Biscuit.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting, and we'll see you next month for the Cool Comic Show.